For Putin, Crimea was everything. It was the symbol of Russia's military power in the Black Sea, the heart of the Black Sea Fleet, and Putin's personal prestige project. And to protect this asset, Putin turned Crimea into a military fortress. With the Crimean bridge, military infrastructure, naval bases, and an estimated 10 or more S-400 batteries, Crimea was the most heavily fortified point of the war. All this investment had a single purpose: to turn Crimea into a fortress that Ukraine could never reach. But on the night of April 25 to 26, 2026, the walls of this fortress cracked once again, and this time the cracks are very deep. The Ukrainian Security Services Elite Alpha Special Forces unit struck 8 different targets simultaneously in a single night, and the air defense network in Russia's most heavily fortified region could not stop it. The operation focused on 2 critical points simultaneously: the Black Sea Fleet, naval base in Sevastopol, and the Belbek military airfield. The SBU's Alpha unit did not conduct any physical infiltration or ground operations. The attack was carried out entirely remotely, using domestically produced long-range drones. All the drones entered Crimea at low altitude, using electronic warfare protection and swarm tactics. Throughout the night, violent explosions were heard in Sevastopol. The sky was lit up by air defense fire, and columns of smoke rose from various points in the city. Raz, the governor of Sevastopol appointed by Russia, admitted that the city had come under a major attack and claimed that 71 drones had been shot down. But regardless of the number of drones shot down, those that reached their targets were devastating for Russia. 3 ships were hit at sea, each representing a different role in Russia's military ecosystem. Yamal, a 1988-built Raucha-class large landing ship. This is not just a transport vessel, but an amphibious assault platform designed to carry troops, armored vehicles, and heavy equipment directly to the shore. It is the backbone of Russia's sea-to-land power projection capability in the Black Sea. Nikolai Filchenkov, an older vessel, a Project 1171 class ship built in 1975. This ship has served for years as a workhorse in Russia's interport military equipment transport route known as the Syria Express. One of the ships keeping operations afloat by transporting large military cargo that won't fit on a truck or plane. The sinking of these 2 landing ships deals a direct blow to Russia's amphibious operational capacity in the Black Sea. At the start of 2022, Russia had tied Ukraine down with thousands of troops in coastal defenses by threatening a naval landing on Odessa. That threat has now all but vanished. Russia's already limited amphibious capacity is dwindling with every loss, and its strategic options in the Black Sea are narrowing. But perhaps the most critical target of the night was the 3rd ship, the Ivan Khurs. This is not a warship in the traditional sense. The Ivan Khurs is part of Russia's maritime intelligence network. We're talking about a reconnaissance ship that collects signals intelligence, monitors enemy communications, and conducts electronic surveillance. A platform that allows Russia to see what lies beyond the horizon. Taking this ship out of commission means blinding part of the fleet. In other words, Ukraine did not merely attack ships in a single operation. It simultaneously struck at Russia's naval mobility, logistical capacity, and intelligence-gathering capabilities. This wasn't random. It was by design. The operation didn't end at sea. That same night, the Belbek military airfield was also targeted. And the target struck here wasn't just any ordinary aircraft. The MiG-31 interceptor. The MiG-31 holds a unique place in Russia's arsenal. Designed as a high-speed, high-altitude fighter jet, it is intended to intercept incoming threats at extreme speeds. But what's truly significant is that some variants carry the Kinzhal hypersonic missile. The Kinzhal is Russia's most advanced and heavily touted weapon, and the MiG-31 serves as its launch platform. The destruction of a MiG-31 on the runway at Belbek means the permanent loss of a portion of that strike capability. Because production of the MiG-31 ceased in 1993, Russia cannot produce new MiG-31s. Losses are only being offset through modernization of existing stock. Every lost MiG-31 is a permanent and irreparable blow. But Ukraine didn't just target the aircraft. Technical maintenance facilities at the airfield were also attacked. The places where jets are repaired, serviced, and prepared for missions. Even if you don't destroy every aircraft, damaging the infrastructure that keeps them operational can ground an entire fleet. Disabling the garage is more effective than chasing the cars. And the part of the night that most people overlook but military planners value most: air defense and surveillance infrastructure. Ships and planes make the headlines, but what truly wins wars is information. And that night, Ukraine directly targeted Russia's intelligence-gathering capabilities. The MR-10M1 MYSM-1 radar station was hit, a coastal surveillance system designed to detect maritime and low-altitude air threats. This radar is a critical eye feeding information into Russia's defense network. It's used to detect incoming threats, direct responses, and provides situational awareness. When you take out the radar, gaps form in the defense network. It's not permanent blindness, but enough uncertainty to make stopping any future attack difficult. And this uncertainty is exactly what Ukraine wants, because the next swarm of drones will pass through that gap. In the same operation, the Air Defense Radio Technical Intelligence Headquarters was also struck. The center that monitors airspace, classifies threats, and coordinates defense responses. Without this headquarters, air defense systems in Crimea are struggling to coordinate with one another. Each battery is forced to operate on its own, which significantly reduces defense effectiveness. The Lukama Training Center, where Black Sea Fleet personnel are trained, was also on the target list. Training new sailors, technicians, and officers takes years, and this process is further prolonged when the training infrastructure is destroyed. Acting SBU head Yevgeny Kamar clearly outlined the logic behind the operation. We are systematically eliminating the key elements of the enemy's military infrastructure: the fleet, aviation, intelligence, and air defense. This is not just about direct equipment losses. It is about eliminating the enemy's ability to control the battlefield and plan new attacks. How did this attack succeed despite Russia having its densest air defense network in Crimea? This question concerns Russia's arms exports, military prestige, and its entire defense doctrine. The answer lies in Ukraine's tactical evolution. Drones approached from ultra-low altitudes, limiting the early detection range of radars. Systems like the S-400 are excellent against high-altitude aircraft and missiles, but they struggle to detect small drones weaving through trees and buildings. With electronic warfare protection, they bypassed Russia's jamming attempts. Ukrainian drones can now fly using autonomous navigation, meaning they can reach their targets on their own, even if the signal is cut off. And most importantly, swarm tactics. When over 300 drones enter Crimea simultaneously from different directions, even the most advanced defense systems become overwhelmed. Detecting, tracking, and destroying each drone individually, especially hundreds, at once, exceeds the capacity of the current defense architecture. An S-400 battery can track a limited number of targets simultaneously. But when faced with 300 targets, the system is inevitably breached. The pantsir is effective at short range but cannot rotate in all directions at once. The Tor and Book systems have good response times but limited ammunition against hundreds of drones. The missiles run out. Russia claimed to have shot down 71 drones, but if you sent more than 300 drones and 71 were shot down, that means more than 230 reached their targets. And the fact that 8 critical targets were hit that night demonstrates the result of this math. This is not just Crimea's problem. It is proof that Russia's entire air defense concept is inadequate against drone swarms. A Russian military blogger present during the operation openly defied Putin. Air defense is entirely focused on protecting Putin's palace in Valdai. He wrote, "Even the Kremlin's most loyal supporters can no longer hide the inadequacy of the defense in Crimea." This operation alone was devastating, but when viewed in context, it becomes clear that Ukraine is conducting a systematic campaign of destruction against Crimea. Just 8 days ago, on April 18th, the same Alpha unit struck 3 more Russian warships in Crimea. That means 6 ships were struck in 8 days. This pace represents an unprecedented rate of naval attrition in history. And Ukraine doesn't even have a traditional navy. And this campaign isn't limited to Crimea. During the same period, the fuel depot in Tups was struck by a coordinated drone attack. The results are striking. 24 out of 46 fuel tanks were completely destroyed and 4 were damaged. Nearly 2/3 of the fuel capacity was taken out of commission in a single night. Fuel is what enables ships to move, planes to fly, and logistics chains to function. And if that fuel is burning, everything slows down. A pattern is emerging in Crimea, and it's now too clear to hide. Every few weeks, a ship is hit, a radar is destroyed, an airport is attacked. Sometimes all 3 at once. Every time Russia says everything is under control, then Ukraine strikes again. And with every strike, Crimea's image as an impregnable fortress cracks a little more. Ukraine's strategy is clear: not to eliminate Russia's military presence in Crimea with a single massive strike, but to erode it through constant, systematic, and cumulative pressure. You don't need to sink the entire fleet. It's enough to make being there feel risky, unpredictable, and unsafe. And that's exactly what Ukraine is doing. Kamar's words confirm the campaign's continuity. This operation will continue until Russia ceases its aggression against Ukraine. The impact of this campaign on the fleet's operational status is striking. Most of the Black Sea Fleet large ships had already been forced to withdraw from Sevastopol. Due to Ukraine's missile and drone threat, the fleet had taken refuge in Novorossiysk. But in March 2026, even in Novorossiysk, the minesweeper Pikul was sunk. So the safe harbor is no longer safe either. The fleet is now in a complete bind. It is under attack in Sevastopol, is not safe in Novorossiysk, and venturing into open waters means navigating through the range of Ukraine's Neptune missiles and Mura V-5 naval drones. Russia's Black Sea Fleet has suffered 30 to 40% losses in the war it began in 2022, with over 80 ships. The remaining ships are in defensive positions, meaning they cannot effectively carry out combat missions. This marks the erosion of a 240-year-old naval tradition right before our eyes. And Ukraine is achieving this not with aircraft carriers or massive fleets, but with inexpensive drones, missiles, and surgical precision special operations. So, can Russia make up for these losses? The short answer for ships: no. The Yamal and Filchenkov are Soviet-era ships from the 1970s and 1980s, and Russia is facing major difficulties in producing new, large landing ships. Due to sanctions, engines, electronics, and navigation parts are not coming from the West. Local substitutes are heavy, expensive, and low quality. Shipyard output has dropped by 35%, and building new ships takes years. The Black Sea Fleet has already suffered a 30 to 40% loss. The remaining ships are in a defensive posture, and new construction is a heavy economic burden. The situation is even worse for special intelligence ships like the Ivan Khurs. The production of such ships is extremely rare and complex. The situation for the MiG-31 is hopeless. Serial production ended in 1993, and new MiG-31Ks cannot be produced. Modernization is underway at the Seoul plant, but there are no new aircraft. Russia's annual total fighter jet production is between 20 and 50, and most are from the Su series. Every loss of a MiG-31 permanently reduces the Kinzhal launch capacity, and that capacity is never regained. Chronic problems persist across the entire defense industry. There is a shortage of 4.8 million skilled workers. Imports of chips and precision parts are blocked due to sanctions, and shipyards and aircraft factories are struggling with delays and inefficiency. Russia spent $186 billion on defense in 2025, but this money is going more toward repairing and maintaining existing stockpiles than toward new production. A full renewal would require years and billions of dollars. As sanctions continue, this is becoming increasingly impossible. The Kremlin cannot replace what it has lost, and Ukraine continues to inflict losses. This permanent loss cycle is Ukraine's long-term advantage because, with every operation, Russia shrinks a little more, and this shrinkage cannot be reversed. Moreover, the indirect impact of these attacks on the front lines is significant. Every successful operation in Crimea forces Russia to divert more air defense systems to the peninsula. Every S-400 battery and every Pantsir system redeployed to Crimea weakens the defense on the Donetsk or Kharkiv fronts. Russia's total air defense capacity is limited, and Ukraine has been systematically eroding this capacity since the start of the war. From June 2025 to March 2026, Ukraine carried out 429 separate attacks on Russian air defense systems. Every successful attack creates another hole in the defense network, and Russia is forced to dismantle a system at another location to plug that hole. This creates a domino effect. To protect one area, you leave another exposed, and Ukraine strikes precisely that exposed area. Focusing on Crimea weakens the front line. Focusing on the front line leaves Crimea exposed. Putin cannot solve this equation because he lacks the resources to protect both sides simultaneously. Ukraine is exploiting this very dilemma. Weaken Russia by spreading its resources thin across every point. This operation also demonstrates to the world Ukraine's progress in indigenous drone technology and legitimizes its request for additional support from the West. In March alone, Russia lost over 35,000 troops, largely due to Ukraine's drone superiority. The Ukrainian armed forces currently hold a 1.3 to 1 advantage in the use of attack drones. When combined with operations in Crimea, this advantage puts Russia under pressure both on the front lines and in the rear, and the Kremlin's fears are not limited to military targets in Crimea. The Russian government has drafted an emergency bill to protect the Crimean bridge. The bill submitted to the committee on April 27th proposes appointing a single security operator for the transport crossing, the power grid bridge, and the natural gas pipeline over the Kerch Strait. This demonstrates the Kremlin's panic level. The Crimean bridge is the peninsula's sole major land link to the mainland, and Ukraine has struck it twice before. If the bridge is cut off, all Russian military forces in Crimea face a logistical crisis. Fuel, ammunition, and troop reinforcements would have to be transported by sea, And we've just seen how secure those sea routes really are. The Russian government is forced to pass a special law to protect the bridge. The clearest admission that current defenses are inadequate. Crimea was supposed to be Russia's impregnable fortress. Ukraine is systematically proving the opposite. Ship by ship, jet by jet, radar by radar. On April 18th, 3 ships. On April 26th, 3 more ships, a MiG-31, and 4 additional targets. 6 ships and dozens of critical infrastructure facilities in 8 days. And with every operation, the untouchable fortress crumbles a little more. Warships are not safe in port. Aircraft are not safe on the runway. Radars are not safe while on duty. And even the Crimean bridge is now being protected by special laws. The Crimean fortress hasn't collapsed, but its foundations are cracking a little more every night, and Ukraine continues to widen those cracks. The global significance of this operation is also immense. If the Ukrainian Navy, operating from a country that is practically non-existent, can attack the superpower's most heavily defended naval base with drones and strike 8 targets simultaneously, it demonstrates that the rules of naval warfare are being rewritten. Warships worth billions of dollars can be rendered inoperable by drones costing just a few thousand. Even the densest air defense networks can be breached using swarm tactics, and a 240-year-old naval tradition is crumbling in the face of technological evolution. Militaries around the world are studying this operation because what is happening in Crimea concerns not only the Ukraine-Russia war, but also the future of naval warfare, air defense, and power projection. And the place where this future is being written is currently the dark harbors of Sevastopol. So, what are your thoughts on this topic? Please share your thoughts in the comments. To stay updated on TGN's exclusive analyses, please subscribe to our channel and don't forget to turn on notifications. Let's meet on Spotify to make long journeys shorter and traffic more enjoyable.